Facebook ads, secrets of the pros. Oh my God, there's so much to learn when it comes to Facebook ads, whether you're running them yourself or you're outsourcing them right now. And that's why I have invited the go-to expert, the person that's been running my own ads for the last couple of years, to talk to her about the secrets of the pros. Claire Gosteli has been running my Facebook ads and generated millions of dollars in revenue with advertising online. And we've been able to, play along with Facebook and make it work no matter what changes were happening in the industry. And there's a lot of changes happening all the time. So today, I want to talk to Claire about what it really means to run Facebook ads, how to have the right expectations, the tricks and the secrets of the trade, including copy angles, how to interpret the numbers, how to know whether your ads are actually working or not, and even if you should be outsourcing your advertising or if you should be doing it yourself. As always, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe to our channel because we deliver the most powerful business growth and scaling strategies right to your inbox every single week.
Welcome to Powerhouse Business on YouTube. I'm your host, Carolyn Soldo. I'm a business owner, business scaling master, and mom of 2 boys. I love thinking big, pushing boundaries, and doing things differently. Most of all, I'm all about achieving massive growth with ease and helping you scale your business while living the life you love. Let's go.
Over the years, we've spent a lot of money on Facebook ads, and we've also generated a lot of return from them. So I'm a big believer in advertising online, including Facebook and Instagram and other online platforms. But I also know a lot of people who were burned in the past by either not understanding how to advertise the right way when they're trying to do it themselves, or by hiring agencies that really didn't deliver for them. So it can be difficult and it can be really confusing. And if you're someone who has experienced Facebook ads and maybe you've given up on them, I want you to give them one more try. If you're someone who's running ads right now and you want to get better results, this episode is for you as well. From my own experience, I know that running ads has everything to do with testing and understanding the numbers. It's also really important for you to know your audience because it's all about the message. I always like to say you receive what you put out there. So your ad copy, including your headline, your text, as well as your image, makes a huge difference in terms of who you're attracting and who is paying attention and taking action on your ads on Facebook. When you know how to run Facebook ads successfully, you'll be ahead of the game. You'll even be ahead of your competition, and you can make this work profitably and literally automate your online lead generation and move people from being completely cold leads to becoming hot leads and clients in your business with ease without you having to do a whole lot. So today, Claire and I will give you insights and strategies that can help you accomplish just that. So Claire, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about Facebook ads.
Of course, yeah. So you and I have been working together for a really, really long time. Feels like a couple years, 3-4 years maybe, at least, right?
I think it's 2 or 3 years. It feels like 3, but that seems like so long.
I know. And we've experienced a lot when it comes to Facebook, right? And people know that there's always something changing, and it's really important to keep up with like the latest trends and the changes and the requirements to make Facebook ads work really well. And you run ads for me, you run ads for other people, and you also teach people how to run their own ads, right? Which is really important. So the first thing I thought we should talk about is, having the right expectations, because I see a lot of people, and I'm sure you do too, who are coming into it with expectations that may not be, aligned with reality, so to speak, and then they sort of get, disappointed, and they're having a bad experience right from the start. So talk to me about expectations and what you think about that.
Yeah, this is a great place to start because often beginners or people who are new to Facebook ads come in with really high expectations. They think they're going to spend $2,000 and make $20,000 back, or they think they're going to have like a 6-figure launch when they haven't even been running Facebook ads previously. So I think people believe that it's going to be easier than it really is, and that it's just going to be like magic to make your ads profitable and to start making money on Facebook. And I think that sets people up for disappointment because, as you know, Facebook doesn't make it easy. There's a lot of challenges involved, and it takes a lot of skill to actually be profitable with your Facebook ads. So I think the right expectations, if I was telling a beginner who was starting Facebook ads and wanted to know what to expect, I would say expect it to take a lot more time and energy and money than you initially imagine. Like whatever number you have in your head, maybe just double that. And then maybe double it again. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah,
that's closer to what the reality is going to be like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the question that we get all the time too, right? Is how much do I need to budget for ads? And that's a hard question because I find that it really depends on what we're advertising, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's budget's going to depend on what their goals are. So if you just want to bring in a few clients a month and book a few calls, then you don't need the same budget as somebody who wants to scale and spend a lot of money and do a big launch. So your budget really depends on your goals, and you always set the budget. So you can start at something that's really comfortable. Start at $10 a day and then $20. Start at a number that feels really comfortable. I would never recommend spending big numbers on Facebook until you know that your offer works. You know that people will buy from you and you can make this money back. So in the beginning, it doesn't actually cost that much to start. The time investment, I think, is the real cost.
Yeah. And really also understanding the numbers, right? So I want to talk to you about how to interpret the statistics and the data in a little bit, but we're touching on some mistakes that people are making already. And obviously there's a lot of mistakes and we want to avoid as much as possible. So just, spontaneously, what are some of the biggest, I guess, mistakes that people could be making or maybe frequently making when they run ads?
Yeah, this is a great question. So there's a few common mistakes that I always see off the bat. The first mistake, and this didn't used to be a big issue a few years ago when I started running ads, like back in the day, but nowadays Facebook is very strict with their ad policy. So if you don't know all of their rules and you do something with your ads that is a violation of their policy, they are very quick to reject your ad or shut your account down or even limit your entire advertising access. So Facebook can be very, very strict with new accounts. New accounts usually have a probation period where they have to prove that they're like good citizens on the platform. And most people don't know that. And so they start off and they say whatever they want to say in their ads.
Yeah.
And Facebook immediately punishes them for it. And then before they even got started or had the chance to really do something, they're in what we call Facebook jail, which is basically a never-ending cycle of reviews and just getting your account back into shape. Once people get into Facebook jail, it's really hard to get out of it. So
it's like a reputation almost. Right. And you told me that a couple of times and I've seen it work and I've seen it in action where there are people who seem to be able to say a whole lot more. Right. So you're looking around and you see maybe your competition advertising a certain way and you think you can do that too. But it seems like it's not fair. Right. And it's not like there's a policy, but maybe the policy doesn't apply to everyone because some people can get away with more than someone else might be able to. So you said probation. So talk us through, let's assume someone is launching up with a completely new ad account, let's say. What would you do to be safe in the beginning and try to make Facebook like us, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I always try to stay like really safe on Facebook. So in the beginning, if you're brand new, the first thing you want to do is keep people on the platform, run ads that don't immediately take people off of Facebook.
Yeah.
So video view ads, for example, or page likes or post engagement, just start small. You don't want to start off with the hardest thing possible, which is sending people to your website and getting them to convert. Most people want to do this, and that's the first thing they do. And that's one of the reasons why they immediately get disapproved. Facebook wants you to prove first that you can be trusted to use their platform wisely. And then once they see that, they'll begin to lift some of the restrictions. They'll let you spend more, they'll let you do more, they'll let you say more. So Facebook has a thing called quality ranking. Every account has a quality ranking, and Facebook is always monitoring your ads and your landing pages to measure the quality of your ads. And if your ads have good quality, over time, you'll be able to say more in your ads than somebody who doesn't have good quality. So it isn't really fair. People always point to other ads and say, well, they can say this and they can say that. But some of these accounts have been running for 5 or 6 years, and they've been very careful to keep the account quality very high. And so they enjoy those special privileges.
Right. Can we see the account quality? Is that visible or is that private? Can we see that?
Yeah, it's absolutely visible. You can go into the settings, you click on the little hamburger menu, and it gives you the drop down. And if you scroll, you'll see the account quality, and Facebook will show you how many violations you've had in the last 30 days. They don't give you a number for your quality ranking, but it shows you any violations that you've had across all your ads, and they're keeping track of all of that.
Yeah. So keeping people on the platform, meaning running video ads for views, right? You said running page like ads, things like that. You don't send people to a website or a landing page or anything for a little bit. For how long? A month, maybe a couple of weeks?
A couple weeks at least. I would say at least 14 days before taking people off the platform. It depends on how safe you want to be. If you want to be really safe, you run it for a month. But I would say at least 2 weeks just to start off on a good foot with Facebook. And then once you've established that and you haven't had any ads disapproved for 14 days, then you can take it to the next level and start sending people to your website. But again, remember that Facebook is monitoring the landing page. So it's not just what you say in your ads, it's also what you say on the lander. And you have to make sure that the landing page experience is overall positive for Facebook. They're monitoring both of those things.
Okay. So I also don't want to forget the policy. This is probably going to be a very boring document for you guys to read, but you should definitely take a look at it to be aware of some of the things that are very apparent that you should not be doing in terms of, what you advertise in the copy. So there is a link, right? Maybe you can post a link down below in the description to the Facebook ad guidelines and the policies. So go definitely check that out. So you mentioned messaging, right? What gets most people in trouble might be messaging. And it's also about making it work effectively. The message is what drives the clicks, what drives the conversions, what brings the right people to you, or also can bring the wrong people to you. So message is key. So talk to us a little bit about what we can do in terms of messaging, the copy, the angles, and all of that good stuff.
Yes, this is another good question. Everybody wants to know, how do I get the right copy angle? How do I say the right things in my ads? And I think everybody is going to give you a different answer. Every marketing expert is going to tell you something different. What works for me, what I found through all of my testing and experiments, and I think this works across all niches, no matter what kind of ads you run, is being very clear in your ads, preferably in the first sentence, who the ad is for and what the problem that you're solving is. If you can describe your customer or client's problem in the first sentence of your ad and it's very clear, then that ad is usually going to outperform all of the cute or the clever copy. There's a lot of different types of angles you can go with. The story angle also works really well.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found just consistently works no matter what is being able to really tap into the pain that your client is experiencing. And specifically in regards to the offer that you have, what do you have that can solve the problem? And can you describe that problem clearly?
Right.
I think if you do that, then your ads are going to resonate with the right people.
Yeah.
For example, one of my clients is a photography mentor. And in his offer, he has a webinar where he teaches people how to master their camera. And in the first sentence of his ads, he says, do you have a camera that's been sitting on the shelf because it was too confusing to learn when you first bought it?
Mm-hmm.
And there are people, I always go into the comments of my ads and I read the comments just to see how people are resonating with the copy. And what you really want is this comment that I saw someone say. She said, you described me perfectly in the first sentence.
Oh, yeah, that's great. So it's
that is what you want.
That's smart. So asking a question, or even I remember what we do a lot is actually calling them out and saying, or calling all whatever the ideal client is, or are you a question mark? So asking a question, or even just saying, this is for whatever your ideal client would use to describe themselves. That's a good way, because people are busy, right? And how many really click on that more link to see all the things that you say? Probably not that many. So you only have probably a couple of seconds to grab someone's attention, and then maybe they will read more and click on it. Yeah.
You have precisely 3 lines, or roughly 1 or 2 sentences. And that is really what you have to grab their attention. So you have to be careful with how you use that, and don't waste it with, talking about yourself, or, telling them things that don't really matter. You want to get straight to the point, straight to the problem that you can solve for them, and be very clear about who your offer is for. If you can do those 2 things, you can be clear about who it's for and what problem you solve. I think no matter what niche you're in, that is a winning formula for ad copy.
Yeah. And that can be a problem. I mean, for the photography mentor, it's probably relatively easy to say what he does and what the problem is. But for a lot of people, especially when we're looking at coaches, right, where it's not as clear, and maybe we're dealing with mindset coaching, or lifestyle problems, or maybe even relationships, those are not as black and white. So learning how to be precise in our message is not always easy. So that's where you help clients, and I help clients as well, to make sure that we sharpen that message that we put out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It can take years to find that exact one sentence. It takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. You need a deep understanding of your audience and what their problems really are. But if you have that, it's something that you can work with over time. You can optimize, you can get closer to it. And then you can also, hire someone to help you edit your copy, to help you look at your ads and find the gold in the copy. And that's mostly, I'm not good at writing copy, but what I am good at is editing, finding the right words and putting them together in the right order.
Yeah, so that's what I do, right? So I'll write copy for you, and I'll just say what I think I need to be saying, and you begin to edit it for me, and to make sure it's safe, and to make sure it actually performs well. So that's a really good point. A lot of times we need someone else to look at our message with a different perspective, because we see it the same way, and it's hard to jump outside of our frame of mind a lot of times, and so having a new perspective is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then we put these ads out there, and then they run, and then Facebook presents us with all sorts of data that we may or may not understand. And that's really key, measuring it all the way through in terms of what the ads are doing, but then also, whatever we're advertising, especially if there's a funnel or a customer journey behind it. But share with us some of the data, Claire. When we run ads and we look at the dashboard and all the different numbers, what are some of the most important stats that indicate how well our campaigns are running?
I love this question because I love talking about data. It's like the one thing that I'm really good at. So, when it comes to measuring the data and the key stats, you want to always measure, if you think about the sales funnel and the shape of it, you always want to measure the top of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. The middle part gets a little messy. It's kind of hard to measure what happens in there. But you can always measure at the very top of the funnel your cost per lead. And then at the very bottom of the funnel, your return on ad spend or ROAS. So those are the two key metrics that you always want to be tracking. The top of the funnel, the cost per lead, and then the bottom of the funnel, the ROAS.
Yeah.
And if you have complete visibility on those two numbers, you'll have a good idea of how your funnel is performing.
Right. I bet a lot of people look at the cost per lead, but they don't know how to measure the return on ad spend.
Yes, this one is complicated because Facebook doesn't really give it to you unless you know how to add the value into your purchase pixel. So there's ways that you can get this number with Facebook, but most of the time you'll need to calculate it manually in a spreadsheet. That's what I do for all my clients. Like we have a spreadsheet and we pull numbers from Facebook and then we pull numbers from Entrepreneur or whatever they're using to track their sales. And then together we come up with the return on ad spend. So it's hard to find this number in just one place. You need to do a little bit of calculation on your own. But the formula for it is total revenue divided by total ad spend. So if you made $3,000 and you spent $1,000, your ROAS is a 3.
Right.
Some people say 3x, like I have a 3x ROAS, but that is how we calculate that number and then how you measure it. So you can have a 1 ROAS, a 2 ROAS, or you can have a negative ROAS. Oh, so 1 ROAS is break even. You spend $1, you get $1 back. That's break even. So you want at least a 1 ROAS.
Yeah.
But then for everybody, what I call healthy ROAS is going to be different. For some people, 2.5 ROAS is healthy. For others, they can be profitable with a 1.5 ROAS. So every business owner first needs to calculate their ROAS and then needs to decide what is their healthy ROAS where their ads are finally profitable.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we look at the whole system because we spend money on ads to be profitable, right? And to be making money in our business. So that's a great point. And then cost per lead. And you and I have seen this, right? It can go from $2 or even less. I guess how low can it go? It could be, extremely low depending on the niche and what we're advertising, all the way up to lead cost that it seems to be more expensive. So there's, again, finding out what is an average for you and then continuing to, beat that and continuing to test that to try to get that down. And that's what you're really good at too, starting off and we're at $15 or $20 or whatever. And then, it comes down and eventually, ideally we're between 5 and 7 maybe. But again, that changes over time. So you can never be sure.
Yeah. For me, that's the fun part of running ads. I don't know if everybody thinks it's fun, but I think it's fun to start out. Usually when you start out, your ROAS is like a scary, or your cost per lead is a scary number. And then over time, you optimize it, you learn what works, you take out what doesn't work, and then you get it down to a healthy number. I think it's really hard to give like a healthy cost per lead because, like you said, everybody's different, everybody's audience is different. But if I had to put like a specific number on it, I would say anything around $10 or less is a healthy cost per lead. Yeah. I think even above that, you can be profitable with a $20 cost per lead. But I feel like there's probably some room for optimization.
Yeah, makes sense. And then what are some other stats we look at? So cost per lead. How do we evaluate our copy, our images? What are some numbers we need to keep in mind?
One number that you can always look at is your click-through rate, the CTR link So the click-through rate will show you, it's kind of like your conversion rate on the ad. If you think about your landing page conversion rate,
Right.
you have an ad conversion rate too. And so the click-through rate is kind of your ad conversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
And you want that to be at least 1%, just like you want your landing page
Right.
to be roughly 30% for a healthy conversion.
Mm-hmm.
You want your ads to be around a 1% click-through rate for a healthy conversion number.
Right. So just in case you're wondering in terms of what we pay for here, people ask me all the time. So how much do I pay for a click? Because I guess the pay per click is such a common word that we hear when it comes to ads, but we're actually not paying for clicks, we're paying for views on Facebook, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're paying for impressions.
Impressions.
So like one impression on a person is kind of what Facebook charges you for.
Yeah. So the click-through rate is looking at how many people see the ad, so the impressions, compared to how many actually click on it and take action, right? So
Yes.
as that percent rises, it indicates that the people who see it, a good or healthy chunk of them actually sort of like it or are interested, and then they click and they go where you want to send them. So great. So cost per lead and click-through rate, and you mentioned landing page, right? So how well your landing page is converting. So all of these statistics, once we learn them, we can lay them out and we can track them so that we're not advertising blindly.
Yeah, absolutely. You need complete visibility on your statistics at all time. I recommend a weekly tab and a monthly tab. I keep things in a Google spreadsheet, so I always have the weekly and the monthly view. And just like if you are driving a car, like you don't want stuff on your windshield that makes it difficult for you to see where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to have complete visibility on your ad number so that you can make good decisions when it comes to spending the ad budget. If you don't know what's working or what's not working, or if your ads are even profitable, you'll be guessing and you'll be driving blind. And that's where people really get frustrated. They feel like they're spinning their wheels and not really getting much, or they don't know how much they're getting from their ads. And that confusion, that lack of clarity is, very easily avoided if you know how to track your ad numbers.
Yeah. So talk to us about who should be doing all of this stuff, right? And a common question that I'm sure, Claire, you get all the time, and I get it too, is should I run these ads myself, or should I not even worry about this and hire someone and let them run it for me? And obviously there are lots of agencies, these days that can do this for us. But what's your opinion?
That's a really good question. I get this a lot, and it's hard to answer. In the beginning, I used to just give people kind of like a surface level answer, and I would say, it depends on your time and your budget. If you have more time than budget, then you should learn how to run it yourself. But if you have more budget and less time, then you should outsource it to someone else. So on a rough level, that kind of works. But lately, I've been thinking about it a lot more. I've recently written a blog post about this because it's a question I get a lot. And I started to think about it in terms of the stage that you're in as a business owner. So, for example, with Shark Tank, let's take the Shark Tank TV show that almost every entrepreneur watches. One of the first things that the sharks ask people when they come inside the tank is, do you have sales?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, everyone who's thinking about running their own ads can role play this like Shark Tank situation with themselves, where they're both parties and they are pitching their own idea to themselves to see if they can get the investment that they need to run their ads. So the first question is always, do you have sales? In other words, have you proven that this idea works? And if you don't have sales, no matter how good the idea is, you haven't done the hard work of really proving that it's going to be successful. So if you're in this stage where you don't have any proof yet that your sales funnel works, usually that's a sign that you're not ready to invest. Most of the sharks don't invest in a business that doesn't have any sales yet because they know that's a lot of work involved in getting that first step out of the way. the next question, if you do have sales, is what are those sales? We need to know, is there enough room here for this thing to scale? Or is it just something that's going to make you, maybe it'll bring in a few $1,000s a month and that'll be fine to support yourself, but maybe it's not able to bring in the kind of numbers that can support a team and an organization and a whole business. So you have to be honest with yourself about, like, not only are you getting sales, but are you getting enough sales to justify spending a lot of money and time on Facebook ads?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the third question after, the whole sales is, what's the profit margin? Sometimes it's uncomfortable to talk about numbers and to have these conversations, but you really need to know, is there room for you to invest in ads? Let's say, you've made 10 sales and you've made, let's say, $10,000, but you've only profited like $2,000 from that. So the profit margin is so small that you don't really have enough room to start playing with Facebook ads and taking on a new project. You need to work on making the profit margin healthier so that you can invest in Facebook ads, because it's an investment, time investment,
Right.
money investment, whether you do it yourself or you outsource it, it's a serious investment. So before you make that investment, I think you need to ask yourself a few of these hard questions and see what stage you're at in your business. If you're at the stage where you have sales, there's enough profit margin, you've proven that this can grow, then I think it makes a lot of sense to hire someone who's an expert in growing and scaling Facebook ads, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, you want to be, the leader. You don't want to be in the details,
Right.
doing all of that stuff day to day.
Yeah.
But if you're in the other stage, sorry.
No, keep going.
This is really obvious. I was just going to say, if you're in the other stage where you don't have sales yet, or the profit margins are really, really tight, then I think it's better to, invest your own time into figuring out how to make this work before you even put the money into running Facebook ads. Maybe you can do your own ads on the side, a few $100s a week or a month, just to get it working. And then once you have it working, once you've proven it, then you can hire it out.
Nice.
So that's like the deeper level answer that I give people now. It really depends on the stage you're at in your business.
Yeah, I think that's smart, and I agree. Some people might say, well, I'm in the beginning stages and there's so much for me to do that I don't have time and I don't want to make mistakes, and that's true, but it's saving money that you could be spending on other things, right? So make sure the business is profitable, make sure you prove it out, make sure you're making money and all of that, and you actually master advertising yourself so you know what's going on, and then hand it over to an expert that can grow and scale it for you. Smart. Love that.
Yeah.
And that's what you do, right, Claire? So you actually help people master advertising, and you have a course, right? But you also do it with them and really show them hands-on how they can be successful. So tell us a little bit about how you support people, and I know you have a brand new resource that's available as well. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so my business is all about helping entrepreneurs grow using Facebook ads. And I do that in two ways. So the first way, and this is what I've been doing for over 6 years, is running the ads myself, like taking these campaigns, tracking the data, scaling them, and then having weekly meetings with the entrepreneur. So that's one thing that I do. And then what I really enjoy doing, and what I've been doing more recently, because I'm able to help a lot more people this way, is teaching people how to run their own Facebook ads, giving them the knowledge and the support and the training to set up their own campaigns and track their own data and learn how their funnels work, and really just set them up for success. It's hard to get over the initial learning curve with Facebook. And I found that online courses, the like do-it-yourself kind of way, really doesn't work for a lot of people because there's so much to learn. It's really overwhelming. But if you have a private teacher
Yeah.
who understands your business and just teaches you what you need to know for your ads and ignores all the other stuff, then you're able to really get started much faster and sooner, and you avoid a lot of the headache and the frustration that comes from just trying to figure it out on your own and making mistakes and all of that stuff.
Right.
So that's what I do. I teach people how to run their own ads, and then I also help them run their ads if they are ready to outsource it.
Smart. You're like a piano teacher. When you were
Yeah.
describing that, hands-on, when you learn an instrument, when you learn, maybe not a new language, but anything that is sort of, difficult to do on your own, having a teacher show you, where to click or how to, line up your hands, that's important, and it's going to be so much easier. So you have a new training, don't you? You have a webinar that sort of, gets us started with successful advertising. Tell us about that one.
Yes. So I love that comparison with a piano teacher because that's a lot like it is. And I forgot to mention, but I'm also a certified teacher. So before I became a Facebook advertiser, I was a teacher. I taught English for about 8 years. I paid my way through college, tutoring on the weekends and in the evenings. And then I got a certification to teach adults. So I left teaching because I felt like there wasn't enough room for me to grow. And then I kind of wound up randomly in Facebook ads. But returning to teaching and then combining it with Facebook ads really just feels like the right thing for me. So I'm really excited to do this. And then my new training. So I have a few resources, and I'm going to put them on a link, clairegosteli.com/resources.
Got it.
And the first resource is a training, a webinar where I talk about the 3 beginner mistakes that most people make with Facebook ads. That is just good to know if you ever plan on running your own ads. It's just an essential training that I feel like so many people should watch, just because those little mistakes usually end up causing you so much trouble later on. So if you can avoid them, you save yourself so much headache later on down the road.
Perfect. So the link is down below in the description. It's clairegosteli.com/resources, multiple.
Resources,
right?
because
Plural.
the second resource, the second resource is a list. I'm calling it the ultimate list of what not to say in your ads.
Oh, great. Okay. Everybody needs that. Yeah.
I'm creating it because I've heard so many people ask me for this. Like, do you have a list of what not to say? And I've always felt like that would be a great thing to have, but it would just be huge. Like the list of what not to say, it would just be so long. So it took me a while to finally sit down and make it. But I have a whole list of what you shouldn't say with examples, and it shows you also what will happen if you say that. And I feel like this is something that everyone needs, whether you're running your own ads or you're hiring it out. Get this download list and then share it with whoever's doing your ads, because any one of these things could end up having massive consequences for your business. And these days, Facebook is just super, super strict. It's like another level. So you always want to know exactly what you shouldn't be saying so you stay out of Facebook jail.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you're a beginner or even if you've been running ads for a while, check out Claire's training. You can certainly avoid a lot of trouble with Facebook and make your life a lot easier. And then the list of what not to say, even if, I don't know what's all on the list, but I feel like even if it doesn't hit your niche specifically, it may give you some inspiration or have you compare it to what you might be saying, and you might be able to avoid, trouble with your ads. So go check it out. The link is below. Highly recommend it. And connect with Claire if you need someone to, be your hands-on teacher when it comes to Facebook ads.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, at Facebook, at Your Ads Teacher. So that's my handle. And just send me a message, reach out. I'm offering free strategy calls. So anytime you need help, I'm always here.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Claire, thank you so much for being here. You're a well of information. You're full of it. And highly recommend, again, the strategy sessions. Connect with Claire, see if she's the right teacher for you. And Yeah, thank you so much, Claire, for your advice. We really appreciate it.
Thank you too. It was so fun talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Online advertising can truly be a confusing thing, and it can cause us a lot of frustration and stress. So my hope is that with the tips and strategies that we shared with you today, you'll have a much easier time running your ads successfully online. As always, make sure you leave us some comments below. Let us know how you feel about advertising, about Facebook ads in particular, what's working for you and what may not be working, and let us help you even more. So hop down below in the comments and let us know how you're doing. We would love to hear from you. And I also have something really exciting I want you to know. We are going to be hosting networking dinners and 2-day workshops and growth summits in the Naples, Florida area that are coming up very, very soon. Go to carolansoldo.com/events to see our calendar, to see when we're hosting our networking dinners, as well as our 2-day workshops and summits. Our 2-day workshops have 2 options. Option number 1 is focused on sales. It's all about how to scale your sales with super solid confidence. So it's a deep dive into your sales conversations, your entire business sales system, how to build a sales team, how to measure your metrics, and a whole lot more. The other option is our Business Growth Summit, where we're going to be sharing with you our business optimization system that got our business on the Inc. 5000 list and has the power to literally double, triple, or even 10x your business in the next 12 months. So again, go to carolansoldo.com/events to get your seat registered right now. If you liked this episode, make sure you give us a like, share it with your friends, maybe send the link around to some people who would love this information. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and then come back again next week. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon. Would you like to copy the simple optimization system that got my business on the Inc. 5000 list of America's most successful companies? Then sign up for our on-demand training, where I'll teach you the 3 simple steps to grow your business faster and farther than you ever thought possible. Go to scalemybusinessfast.com to watch it right now.